No, you're not in the wrong place. This is the right place. This is Trinity Talk Live. Kind of. Welcome. Hey, Ben, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. How you doing, Ken?
I'm a little nervous. How about you? Good, sir.
Fair enough.
So if you hadn't figured it out, we kind of announced a little while ago that we were making some changes to the format of Trinity Talk Live, and here they are. Here's the start. This is kind of a quick taste. This isn't really a full-fledged episode, although we talked about maybe giving you a little taste for what it's going to be like. But we wanted to take this week to kind of introduce what the concept was going to be between where we're going to be going with the show in 2020. And so I should start out by saying the show's still going to be every other week, although there is not an episode 2 weeks from now because that's like, right, New Year's or something like that around there. And no. So we're going to be back, actually in 4 weeks will be the first time when we actually premiere all of this. So, hey, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing. And first of all, Ben, you and I had a meeting how long ago was it now? Was it
2 weeks ago now?
2 weeks ago? Why did I think it was longer than that? Maybe every minute with you seems like an eternity. I don't know what it is. No, we met a few weeks ago. And we talked about what the direction of the YouTube channel was going to be. And we've got some of the changes we've actually already implemented. But one of the things we talked about, and we'd actually been talking about even before that in regard to this show, is taking this thing in a new direction. Why don't you start out? Tell them a little bit about what we talked about.
Well, we did our, and of course this is the obligatory 2020 vision meeting.
I've made it my mission not to use that term. Okay?
That's why I said it was obligatory, because everybody's going to use it. So, no, we met, for lack of a better term, I guess, or lack of a different one, is we met to discuss.
There's plenty of different words you could use.
2020 are what we're going to do. I mean, it just doesn't have the same ring to it. So, no, but we wanted to look at the future of the YouTube channel and what we could streamline a little bit, what our goals are, because we always want to be moving forward and pressing toward those goals. And one of our goals is to have Trinity Talk Live actually be live.
Shocking idea.
I know, right? Go figure.
This is not live, by the way, in case you're watching this and thinking that.
Right, but it is in the works, and we're trending hopefully that way. But in order to do so, we wanted to kind of see where we could trim. Not that all of our programs on the YouTube channel aren't worthwhile, not that we don't think that they're meeting those goals that we had set forth, but the way that the format was looking, we wanted to kind of transition over. For example, one of our programs, In the World, we had mentioned on the last episode that was the next to last one. And, well, of course, I wasn't there, so we didn't mention it. But
I wasn't on camera. It was mentioned.
Yeah.
Greg Durwart mentioned it.
Yeah.
Actually, so, yeah.
And so that's going to kind of morph back into Trinity Talk Live as it kind of started with the current events section, because the whole feel for Trinity Talk Live was supposed to be just talking from a Christian perspective.
But that was the original vision, and it kind of evolved into this almost like a daytime television talk show kind of thing, where we had a different topic every week, and that was good. And we did some. I think I'm really proud of some of the episodes, especially in some of the work we did there. But the original vision was, well, water cooler conversation from a Christian perspective. It was just supposed to be, Christians sitting around chatting about whatever. And when Ben and I were talking more about it, we kind of had this idea that that's really that vision. I'm not saying 2020 was more aligned with like a talk radio type of feel as opposed to.
And yet you just did.
Shut up. Yeah, we still have our producer Mike back there, obviously. That's still part of the show. I can't get rid of that. Anyway, so the idea was, hey, it's really more of a talk radio type of feel. And that's actually the direction a lot of even YouTubers are going nowadays. And so we're kind of trying to keep up with the times there too. And so we decided, let's take Trinity Talk Live as just as far as a format idea, just sitting around a table, chatting about whatever. It might still be, we might still have some shows where we have specific topics like that we're talking about. Otherwise, it might just be what's going on in the world, what happened to us this past week, whatever, but still always from a Christian perspective is the general idea.
Yeah, and that also allows us to be a little bit more timely with the current events, seeing as the In the World was shot every 2 weeks.
And the World was every month.
I'm sorry. And
this is every 2 weeks.
This was every 2 weeks. But again, that's a little bit more timely that we can be if there are things that just happened.
Like we talked when we were in our planning meeting. We're not going to go into this today because it's kind of old news now. But we had talked about, when we were planning this, that the whole Chick-fil-A thing was going on. And we're like, you know what? The way we're talking about doing Trinity Talk Live, if we were filming an episode of that right now, while this is all over the news, we'd be talking about it. I mean, we would be talking about it on the show. And that's when we realized, okay, well then that there's going to be some, it's not going to be the same show as In the World, obviously. It's a very different show, but there's enough overlap there that it really didn't seem to make sense to have them both on the channel anymore.
Right, exactly. So speaking of Chick-fil-A, you want to give them a taste of what the show is going to look like?
Well, obviously it's going to have bad humor about that. So
I'm here all day.
But no, seriously, I do want to. Ben mentioned a second ago that it is one of our goals to actually make this live. And right, we always kind of talked about, it's called Trinity Talk Live to distinguish it from the newsletter, which is called Trinity Talk. This is the one with live people, but no, come on, we want to be live. And if anybody's wondering, we do live stream, obviously, our worship services and everything right now, but that is just a one camera setup, and that's all we really have the ability to do right now. And even that, we still got some kinks we're working out. Whereas, Trinity Talk Live is a multi-camera format, and we don't have the ability to do that now. That's going to that's a kind of our goal, by hopefully at least by the end of the year to get that up and running. But that also is going to cost some more money. I mean, there's more equipment we're going to need. So if anybody is interested in helping us out with that, hey, send a check for your donation to the Trinity and just put video ministry in the subject line. That'd be great. And obviously, anything we use to get a multi-camera setup for Trinity Talk Live is not just going to be for Trinity Talk Live. I know we had one person asking about multi-camera setups for some of the worship services.
Yeah.
And we'd be able to do that too. But we just don't have the equipment to do that right now. So we could use your help in that regard. But more about that as the new year comes in. Sure. So you want, let's talk. A little quick taste about what the show is gonna be like, and it's gonna be talking about. I want to talk a little bit about first because it's Christmas, and we had a special visitor here yesterday at church, and it was really cool. Do you want to say what you said off air or not? You want to?
I'll say, yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I wasn't here yesterday because I was actually doing a wedding, so that was pretty cool. But I can talk about that later, too. But, our special guest was Santa Claus and my 7-year-old son. I apologize to everybody right now because he was telling them that it was, in fact, Mr. Ken. So we're going to tell him that was one of Santa's helpers. But
spoiler alert.
Spoil it for everybody. Spoiler alert.
We need to put that on the menu bar.
Spoiler alert. Sorry, yeah.
Clear the room of your
I don't
children.
think our target audience is really the youngins, but if they were watching, please stop watching now. If you're too late, I guess. But we had Santa here. Another cool thing that Santa did yesterday. And it was not my idea, even though I was playing the role. I give full credit to my lovely wife, who is the producer of the show, in case you're wondering. If this is your first time watching, wondering who that voice is that keeps coming in. That's my wife, Mary Kay, who is the producer for the show. And Pastor Jay. The two of them got together and basically said, hey, she walked up to him and said, hey, do you think it would be cool if Santa did communion today? And Pastor Jay thought it was really awesome. And
I can't take full credit. Somebody from my fellowship team said that I guess he'd done it in the past when we'd had a Santa come to the church, so I wanted to reinstate it, and I wanted you to also be able to have communion since.
Well, I appreciate that. It was a little hard in the beard, but then Pastor Jay wanted me arranged. Come down the center aisle, be the last one so everybody can see it, and it seemed to be a pretty big hit. I know a lot of people on Facebook. There were people took pictures of it and all this, and it was kind of neat. But that's I had, I guess, my concern when we first started talking about it. I wasn't really concerned so much. Obviously, I wanted to take communion, but the idea was like, okay, are there going to be some people in the congregation who don't like the idea of intermixing Santa
theological quandary?
Yeah. And so that's the first thing I just want to throw out there as far as what's your position on the role of Santa in the Christmas season, and specifically even something like what we did yesterday with having him involved in the worship service.
Yeah, actually, if I remember correctly, I think we did have Santa a couple years back also come and take communion, and that was it was well received. And it reminds me, actually, there's a picture of a painting, I forget who painted it, but it's Santa Claus kneeling at the manger of the Christ child. And so that always has been like a powerful image to me of just a reminder of the reason for the season. Actually, this morning in my 5th grade Christian Ed, one of the students asked me, they said, they asked me a question about where did Santa Claus come from? How did we get into all that? I was like, well, I'm not brushed up on all of my history with that, but I do know it kind of comes from the tradition of an actual person, Saint Nicholas, and giving gifts to remind us of the gift that God has given us in His Son Jesus Christ. So that's kind of my take on it. Is that I know there are certain Christians who would choose to abstain from the whole Santa Claus thing for theological reasons, but for us, we still do it, but with the thrust of we get presents at Christmas time to remind us of the gift of the Christ child. He came, of course, it reminds us of the gifts that the wise men gave him and things like that, but the ultimate gift that God has given us of salvation.
Well, and that's the one thing that was really cool is I got the opportunity to go around and visit all the Sunday school classes too, and at least the classes that I visited during the 11 o'clock service, we got there. But the 9 o'clock service, by the time we got to class, was a little bit later. They were already done with the lesson, and they were on to, I think, the craft or something like that they were working on. But at the 11 o'clock, when I got there, they were just getting ready to start their lesson. And so I got to actually, as Santa, sit in there for a little bit and actually participate a little bit and talking about exactly what you just talked about. It's like, what's the best present at Christmas, and what's it all about? And so these kids got the opportunity to see Santa reminding them of what Christmas is really all about, and then see Santa coming in to participate in communion. And I guess my thought process is that, I understand there's a lot of Christians that don't want, to even touch that with a 10-foot pole. And if that's your viewpoint, that's great. Go for it. I don't fault you at all. But if you do include Santa in your Christmas traditions, I think it's really cool and really important to maybe connect the dots, to have the opportunity so they can see that Santa also understands what it's all about. So.
Absolutely.
All right. So that was one thing I want to talk about. And the next thing we got to talk about, we got to talk about it because it's coming up this Friday. Is it Friday? Or is it open on Thursday? It opens on Friday,
I think
right?
it's Thursday, actually.
It's open on Thursdays?
Thursday evening.
So like one of those Thursday
midnight.
Thursday midnight? Or sometimes they do Thursday previews, and they actually start at like 8 o'clock or something like that before midnight nowadays. But they still count those box office. We're talking about Star Wars, by the way. We didn't figure that out. Star Wars is coming out. Can you use my computer? Sure. So, but you going to go see it?
I am, actually. So looking forward to that. Actually, Ryan McAllister, our music director, we're also going to go see it on Friday when it comes out. I guess the day after, technically.
Well,
but,
you're going like really early in the morning, right?
Yeah, like 8:30.
Because some of us have to work on Friday, so that's why you could get tickets.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we could not get tickets until now. We waited too late. I think we got our tickets about a week ago or something like that. And we like to go to there's a place up in Falston,
the Horizon Cinemas.
The Horizon Cinemas up there where you have the reserved seating. Or I won't say what I think I've alluded on the show before what my son calls those chairs, but let's just say they're leather chairs, and they're all really tightly against each other. And so when you open them up, the little remote control that has the legs come out and everything like that. They just make a certain flatulent sound. And so,
Gotcha.
Anyway, but they're very comfortable. But you can reserve your seats, and we like to go there. And I was trying to get tickets, like I said, about a week ago. And still 2 weeks before the show came out. And it was like they had shows, constantly starting like 8:30 in the morning on Saturday. Not even opening day, but on Saturday. I go to 8:30, couldn't get a ticket. The 10 o'clock couldn't get a ticket. 11 o'clock couldn't get a ticket. All the way up to, I think our show's like at 9:30 at night or something like that. The last showing of the day, we were actually finally able to get tickets for. So I will say that when it comes to Star Wars, are your kids into Star Wars?
They are, yeah. So, well, Levi more so than Aaliyah, but she watches them too.
Are they going to the movie with you at 8:30 on Friday morning?
No. So what we do with movie no, we try to pre-screen everything for our kids, and so I'm gonna
also no excuse for him getting to see it twice. I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But
well, I know Ryan's. I was joking around in my role at Santa yesterday, but both Ryan's kids asked for lightsabers for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
And who was I talking to? I think I was talking to was it Pastor Chuck I was talking to? I can't remember. Somebody I was talking to. It's like I see a lot of broken vases in their future, around their house. It's like you get both kids lightsabers. Do your kids have lightsabers?
They do.
And what do they do with them?
They use them outside.
No,
they swing around just like any kid. You give a kid a lightsaber. You give a kid a stick, he's going to turn it into a lightsaber. So a sword or something.
I'm just worried about them beating each other up or something like that.
Would you like to know the answer?
Oh, sorry. When it opens, sure.
It looks like it's Thursday at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Yeah.
Thursday. Wow.
Thursday.
And there's also 3D.
Yeah, I don't.
We don't tend to go to because unless we know it's going to make an effect on the viewing experience.
Are you a 3D moviegoer person?
No, honestly, I've been to a few of them, and they kind of like give me a headache, like the 3D glasses and everything. I don't
Oh,
know.
it's hard for me to wear them over the top of my regular
Right.
glasses.
Yeah.
So
And I just, it wasn't. We were watching an episode of Star Trek Voyager the other day, or yesterday, wasn't it? And for those of you that aren't Star Trek fans, I know this is like sacrilege. We're talking about Star Wars and Star Trek in the same conversation, but roll with me here for a minute. Um, and they have, on Star Trek, they have the holodecks, which are, these things that they can go onto and they create, three-dimensional holograms. Basically, it's like the ultimate in virtual reality, but you're actually surrounded by all this stuff. Fantasy. It's not real. But one of them this person created on a holodeck program where they could go in and act like they were in an old style. I mean, we're talking old, like Creature from the Black Lagoon era.
Oh, nice.
Movie theater where you still had the old 3D glasses where one lens was red and one was blue and all this, and then one of the other characters, and one of the characters explaining to the other one who doesn't know what they're doing. It's like, okay, you got to put these on so everything will look 3D. And she's like, let me get this straight. So we are currently sitting in a device that creates three-dimensional images, and you programmed that to project something that is a two-dimensional image, for which I need to put these glasses on to make it three-dimensional again. Yeah, that was the idea. So no, I'm not a big one into 3D either. So getting back to Star Wars, okay, and aside from just lightsabers, watch your kids if you give them. I was thinking it gets back to whether it be Star Wars with the Force or Harry Potter and magic and all this, as far as we as Christians, where do you draw the line as far as the entertainment is concerned? Because I think in anything, even in Harry Potter and even in Star Wars, there are certain elements that you could pick out that are very much reflective of the gospel message. But like a lot of these creators, whether it be J.K. Rowling, whether it be George Lucas, they will openly admit that when they were creating these universes, what they did is they kind of pick and choose a hodgepodge from a whole bunch of different worldviews and smack it all together and pretend that it doesn't all contradict each other.
Right.
So I guess my question is, what do we do as Christians as far? Now, I like the fact that you say you pre-screen stuff, but where do we draw the line when it comes to stuff like that, as far as influences that are kind of subtle influences of other worldviews?
That's a good question. I think
that's why I ask it, Ben.
No, I kind of figured you were going to go there. Yeah, and if you look, since we're talking about Star Wars, you look at the Force, and that's got a very esoteric mysticism kind of feel to it, and I think that's part of where George Lucas borrowed from. And I think at least what we do with our kids is, we know where you draw the line between reality and fantasy, and you don't blur that line. But also it goes back to going back to as the Apostle Paul says, whatever is good, whatever is noble, whatever is true, think about such things. If you can pick out like those things that are in there that are good, noble, honorable, true. You do have to step back and ask yourself, what am I feeding myself? Because anything that we feed into our spirit, it's going to come out. So there are elements of virtue, good versus evil, that whole, those things. The ultimate, that's pretty much any kind of storytelling.
Not so. More and more surprisingly today, you're seeing, because our culture is starting to blur those lines and trying to, we're getting. I'm not going to get too philosophical, but postmodern ideas where is there really such thing as good or evil? And so I think we're seeing
anti-heroes,
right?
Things like that.
And I agree with you that Star Wars, when we were young, or before you were born, was very much it was the white hat and the black hat, old style Western type of things where you have your good guys and you have your bad guys. And I don't know. You still kind of have that in Star Wars universe today, but you are seeing much more entertainment that's really blurring those lines as far as the good guy and the bad guy, which I think is almost reflective of our culture, going away from this idea that there really is such a thing as good and such a thing as evil.
Well, you look at the whole Star Wars arc. You've got the Republic, which were the good guys turned into the Empire, which are the bad guys.
Right.
So it is that blurring of lines. I think we take from that we have to be discerning of what is good, what is true, what is noble and honorable, and things like that. And if it can lead to discussions, because one thing that I will say, there are certain people. With anything with pop culture, you got to be careful. Take the good in with the bad. You got to sift it. Make sure that you're feeding yourself more so, A, is it not becoming an obsession? Christ is still the main thing in your life. But B, to be in the world, not of the world. We hear that kind of cliche, that Christianese all the time, is can we partake of these things and still have our hold to our Christian worldview, make that be the main thing that kind of filters the lens of how we view all of these things. Because I'll say, like, I have people that I stay in contact with who are connection, they're not Christian, or they kind of walked away from the faith, but we still both enjoy Star Wars, and so I still kind of am able to stay in contact with them because we have that mutual interest. And then our conversations do then lead back to, what's going on in their life and how can I pray for you? I know I'm still going to pray for you, whether or not you believe in it or not.
Yeah.
But, so you can take all things, as the Apostle Paul goes in, I use this example all the time too, but the Apostle Paul in the Areopagus.
I knew you were going there.
Exactly.
See, Acts 17, yeah.
Exactly.
If you didn't, I was going to. It's what you're saying.
It's, and for those, if you look at Acts 17, where Paul is in the Areopagus and he sees all these idols, all these gods, and they have one that's unmarked to an unknown God. He said, that which you do not know, I will make known to you. And kind of taking whatever we can and finding the entry point to share the gospel in that. And I think there are those elements.
And that's why I think, when you look at entertainment, it's a tricky one, because you're right. You don't want to allow yourself to be unduly influenced, because, lots of times it's just a matter of baby steps, and you don't realize how you're getting led away from Christ until you're far more steps away than you even realize. You look back and say, wow. And so you want to be aware of that. But at the same time, we're not hermits. We're not, as a matter of fact, we're very explicitly told not to be hermits. We're supposed to go out into the world and spread the gospel to the corners of the earth and all this kind of stuff. And you kind of have to have an idea of what the world is thinking in order to follow that Acts 17 model of Paul, And so I think as long as there are going to be, again, there's going to be some Christians who say, no, I'm not going to watch Harry Potter. No, I'm not going to watch Star Wars. I'm not going to do any of this stuff. If there's even the slightest taste of anything that's contrary to the Christian message in there, I'm not going to even expose myself to it. I don't personally come down to that side. I think that we need to be discerning about it, and we need to be aware of it, especially when you're talking about your kids. You got to be aware of what your kids, and I love the fact that you're pre-screening these things, so you got to be aware of what your kids can handle and what they're not. You got to be talking to your kids and know them, of what's going to guide the way. But if we keep in mind that, we're going to be seeing some things that are, that are in accord with the gospel and some that are not, and then maybe use that as talking points. If your kid sees something that's, we've gone to movies before where there's something's come up and it's like, whoa, didn't know that was going to be in there. And then, even lots of animated movies nowadays, you think might be safe. But it spurs conversation. And you sit down with your kids afterwards and say, okay, let's talk about this.
Sure, absolutely. It leads to a lot of different talking points. Even like, the princess movies, the fairy tales, they still have elements of magic and things like that. So there's talking points and ways that you can have those conversations with your kids, or just discern for yourself, what is, going back to what Paul says, what is true, what's noble, what's honorable, how can you think about such things, and is this allowing you to think about those things, or is it hindering you?
So the moral of the story is this: Ben and I will both be seeing Star Wars this weekend, but we won't fault you if you don't.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Now here's the next stupid question. So you've got tickets for 8:30 in the morning on Friday, and you're not taking your kids,
right?
And you're going to screen this first. When on earth do you think you're going to be able to get tickets? Hopefully, your kids aren't planning on seeing this weekend, are they? Because you're not getting tickets.
When it comes out on Disney Plus.
Ooh, do you have Disney Plus?
We do. Yeah.
You do. Have you watched The Mandalorian yet?
I have.
All right. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, Baby Yoda, amazing.
Yes.
And my wife loves Baby Yoda. She's gonna have a Baby Yoda Christmas. She's already got a crocheted Baby Yoda from someone at the bazaar, the Christmas bazaar. She's really smart, this lady at the bazaar, and I apologize, I don't remember her name. Otherwise, I'd give her a shout out. But she had the wherewithal to realize this was a really popular idea. I should make these Baby Yodas. And she sold out of what she had. And she took orders, and we actually got an order. And so she got hers. She delivered it to Mary Kay, and she has her Baby Yoda now. And there might be a few Baby Yoda things coming in addition to that. I'm just saying. I'm not going to say what for Christmas. But also, in case you didn't catch it, we don't have to wait till Friday this week.
Oh,
The
no, I
Mandalorian
didn't
comes
know.
out on Wednesday because they don't. Otherwise, it would come out the same day as The Last Jedi,
Okay.
and so they're not. You know,
Gotcha.
Star Wars.
Being sure.
So we get early Baby Yoda this week. Just
Nice.
thought I'd let you know, and let
Very
you all
nice.
know. It's our public service announcement. If you do watch Disney Plus, you love Baby Yoda. Don't forget Wednesday. Okay, so this airs on Tuesday. As of when this is airing tomorrow, you get to see Baby Yoda. So, all right. Anything else? I mean, that's what the show's going to be
gist
like.
of it.
I mean, that's the idea, is that it'll be about whatever, and we'll be chatting about it, but always from a Christian perspective. We hope you like that idea. If you do have any ideas, we're always welcome to feedback. I mean, you can go to we still do have the Facebook channel, our Facebook page, Trinity Joppa channel. You can still go on there. We're still going to post things on there. You can still comment. That's not changing. Any ideas you have for the future you want to see, please let us know. I'd be happy to do that. And obviously subscribe to this YouTube channel. And tell other people about it. Tell them about the changes. Say, hey, we got some really cool things on here, so why don't you come check it out? All right.
If you want to make any suggestions, comment below.
Well, yeah, and I'll say the other idea. Understand that if we do get the show to the point where it can go live and it can be actual live show, then we'll be able to do online chats, and you'll be able to comment live while the show is going on, and we'll be able to see your comment. We can answer questions and stuff like that while the show is going on. So that's another one of the long-term goals that we want to get into place here. So again, if you're in a position, you feel called to help us out, it's going to take some money. We'll say more as the new year comes on, as far as what the goal is financially and all of that. But that's but just to let you know that that's coming. Hey, it's the end of the year. If anybody wants to make a donation before the end of the year, you can still do that. Just write Video Ministry on the check. So, all right, are we good?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. Thank you very much. Hope you liked it. We'll see you all in 4 weeks. No episode 2 weeks from now. 4 weeks, our first real full-fledged episode of the new format. All right. God bless.